invite the next speaker. She's no stranger to youth development and youth development projects in Nigeria. Toyosi is a leader in the social space, especially around issues that affect young people. She's an entrepreneur, and she has received many fellowships from a lot of the leading platforms across the world. She's also an author. We have to belong, while the poor majority of my rich country cannot wait anymore. She's been listed by Forbes, Business Day, and a number of other media organizations for her contributions to the entrepreneurship space and youth development. And she's also been in Calabar many times. So let's give a Cross River State welcome one more time to the Executive Director, Rise Networks, Toyosi Akerele Ogunsiji.
I hope you guys don't mind if I shake a few tables and break the legs of the tables. Make some noise, guys. I was trying to learn a bit of ethics, so I learned two things. Idembufo, Cross River State. And they said there's one called Mene Mesit Ndidu Miyembufo. Did I try? What does it mean? I'm happy to be here with you guys. Senator Leah Limoke, you know you deserve some accolades along with Mama Obioma Leah Limoke. Thank you so much for putting this together. Rarely would you see governors long after leaving office still making sustainable investment in the young people of states that they've governed in the past. Uncle Toye, thank you for your assurance, even though I'm not your choma. At least you can give my love to Auntie Sylvia. My fellow speakers, thank you so much. Young people of Cross River, I'm extremely proud of all of you guys this afternoon, because this is not a concert, it's not an event where you have Davido or Chioma or Techno or anybody coming to perform, but at least I can go back to Lagos and tell them that the most forward-looking, dynamic, progressive young people out of Nigeria come from Cross River State. So we'll talk a little bit about the topic they've asked me to speak on, which is using gainful enterprise to engage young people, empower young people for good governance. We'll talk a little bit about politics. I will shake a few tables and then we'll call it a day. We agree? My name is Toyosi Akerele Ogunsiji. My friends call me Oluwa Toyosi of the Most High. Let me begin my speech very quickly. I rarely write speeches. If you know me very well, you'd know I speak extempore, straight from my heart. I'm extremely passionate about Nigeria. I believe in my generation. But this is an important conversation that I thought was important to document. So I wrote my speech for this afternoon, and I'm going to begin. Nigeria is a criminal enterprise. Nigeria is a criminal enterprise, guys. A thick forest of predatory leaders and citizens who thrive in self-pity and analysis paralysis on Twitter. But the book of Lamentations was not written because of Nigeria. A country where strange bedfellows who mistaken politics for leadership suddenly become friends overnight when the subject is about winning or rigging elections and mindless looting. One in which an artisan collects more than the market price for the repair of a vehicle, purchases the fake part, fixes it 3 times, and when his client complains, he says, "Madam, na so Igbo make am." A country, one where pizza delivery is faster than our police rapid response service, where Yahoo boys and fraudsters have brighter futures than those of hardworking young people who go through, come on guys, who go through tertiary institutions, only to graduate into a non-existent labor market. That is after lecturers have already asked our female students for 5 rounds of knacking. Can I shake the table, guys? Some people even call it mekwe. So you don't just deploy brain activity. The collapsed value system of our nation state also ensures that girls pay for everything with their bodies. Youth, many of whom are already on a codeine diet, because we live in a society where drug barons and criminals are honored with chieftaincy titles and doctorate degrees, with very little recognition and attention given to people who do decent work with a dedicated sense of industry. The girls are now slay queens, and the boys are gigolos, to sugar mummies who don't mind STDs, formerly known as sexually transmitted diseases, now called sexually transmitted destinies. Chi, a nation where public agencies saddled with the responsibilities of service to citizens are tossed like coins and pawns in the hands of an exploitative elite that hold the reins of power and are above the law simply because they have deep pockets, money made at the expense of the rest of the helpless masses. In the United States, President Trump pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. Michael Bloomberg, former mayor of New York and founder of Bloomberg TV and Bloomberg Philanthropies, said that America made a commitment, and as an American, if the government is not going to do it, then we all have a responsibility. Mr. Bloomberg went ahead and paid $4.5 million, which was the amount due to America on behalf of his country, saying that I'm able to do it. So yes, I'm going to send them the check for the monies that America had promised the organization as though they got it from the federal government. Here, filthy rich, corrupt rich Nigerians chase us off the streets with sirens, send their children to school abroad, who when they return are placed in all the juicy job positions, with the rest of us remaining unemployed many years after school. The rich men and women of our country are so rich, are so terribly thoughtless and shallow. They are so poor, all they have is money. It reminds me of a story that I read on Premium Times 2 weeks ago. The recent scandal of the Federal Ministry of Transportation and China Civil Engineering and Construction Company, where the company committed to sending some Nigerian youth to China to go and study railway engineering on scholarship. And young Nigerians and their parents borrowed money to get international passports and other required documents to travel to Abuja, only for the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Transportation to have written letters to the ministers and top officials in the presidency to nominate their candidates, depriving the ordinary masses of the opportunity to compete on a level playing field. This is Nigeria, guys. Our national badge of honor is consumption and importation. Largest importer of rice, number 2 in champagne consumption in the whole world, number 1 market for imported mobile phones. Rwanda, a country that was in genocide 25 years ago, assembled and manufactured its very first car just last week, 27th of June, 2018. In our own country, our government official vehicles are Osha Prapra Toyota Prados, when they should be using innocence so that we can empower local manufacturers to create jobs for young people. Nigeria is not a rich country, guys. We're living on past glory. When they call us the giant of Africa, tell them to take out the GI so that we can know that we are what is left of it. We don't export oil because we are oil rich. It is because oil is all we have. We have no thriving agricultural sector. Industrialization is dead. We're not creating strong policy measures to fully harness the potential of the entertainment sector. And the tech industry is still very nascent. You see, it is simply a farce when we are described as a rich country. We're essentially a poor country. The truth is that countries are not wealthy because of what they have. Rather, countries are wealthy because of their know-how. There are 4 key drivers that make nations powerful. When we talk about good governance and the future that we want as a generation, the first one is population. The second is economy. The third is technology. And the fourth is education. Nigeria has the first one, but she has, however, wrestled against the implacable enemy forces from within, at least, to grab a firm hold on the other 3 with very little success. A gerontocracy where old men and women have not just completely looted our commonwealth, the commonwealth left for our generation, but also handed down the wrong values to us, like clearly doing the wrong thing and guilt-tripping us to feel that we are rude, when in fact age has nothing to do with responsibility. When they arrive at 8 p.m. for an event that started at 4 p.m., we the youth still have to sit at the back, while the front rows are reserved for our gray-haired latecomers. We're not even supposed to speak against thieves in our country, because our culture has an unwritten law that we must respect old wise men. A thief is a thief, and you are undeserving of any regard when you misappropriate money meant for IDPs who are victims of a deadly Boko Haram security crisis and claim to have spent it on grass cutting. Or when you are a minister of finance with an NYSC certificate forgery scandal and you've been more silent than the graveyard because Nigeria is a country without consequences. Leaders build values and values build society. Google just set up the first artificial intelligence center in Ghana. And part of the reasons given by Jeff Dean, the team lead for Google Brain, that houses all the artificial intelligence elements of Google, was that in the end we chose Accra because of a strong ecosystem of local universities and its proximity to a branch of the African Institute of Mathematical Sciences and our experience in the country. Ghana also has a pool of young talent from its public universities and newer centers like the computer science program at the highly regarded private institution, Ashesi University. In other words, guys, Nigeria is potentially losing opportunities that can positively impact and raise our employment numbers because we do not have a functional education system. This means that the education that you are getting, the one that I also got, doesn't just change you in terms of global competitiveness, of its content and delivery, but also in the aftermath of your journey through university. With the invasion of robots and the acceleration of technology and automation, the skills that you need to survive and access jobs in 2018 are in the realm of negotiation, leadership, management, marketing and skills, basic accounting and financial modeling, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, robotics, augmented reality, virtual reality, and the like. But your university are busy drafting a long list of dues that you have to pay for next semester. No original thinking, zero creativity or innovation, enthusiasm is absent, ideas are in disarray. Guys, Nigeria is a criminal enterprise. The UAE is an oil-rich country, one of the most prosperous in the world, but tankers don't litter their streets. I've never seen tankers anywhere every time I go to Dubai. While I was taking my master in public administration at the Harvard University Kennedy School of Government in 2017, I got sponsored by the Office of the Prime Minister of the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, to come and understudy their public policy frameworks. That country, when Nigeria got independence in 1960, the UAE only became a republic in 1971. Nigeria was 11 years old. Today, that country is celebrating and preparing to export their last barrel of oil. They have the youngest minister in the world, Shama Al-Mazrui. She's 22 years old. She's the Minister of Youth. Minister of National Development, in her early 40s, only has indigenous education, has never schooled outside the country. Here in the Niger Delta, we must disrupt the mindset of oil money in our own. and initiate solid policies to back a strong informal economy that focuses on skills instead of cramming and regurgitating. In law, we call it nemo dat quod non habet. You cannot give what you don't have. In schools, we have to merge some departments that offer courses with low job market demand and expand those that employ in high volumes and consistently need top talent. We have to revamp the vocational centers and build the behemoth of industry clusters in every local government of this country. And the reason why I say that is because every time I fly out of Nigeria and I'm returning to the country, 70% of the people on the flights are foreigners, Chinese, Filipinos, Lebanese, coming to our country. At the top level in the multinationals, we are paying billions of naira to expatriates. At the bottom level, where we need artisans, we're importing tilers, carpenters, tailors from Togo, Benin Republic, Niger, and we have the highest, maybe the highest unemployment rate on the continent. The problem with Nigeria is not that there is unemployment. The problem is that the political elite of this country know that if the people, you and I, get the right kind of education and economic empowerment, we would question them. We would not vote for them. And so they make a deliberate effort to ensure that we remain illiterate so that we can never make the right choices or ask the right questions. In a situation where the same mind clamors for food and books, food will always win. An hungry man cannot watch Channels TV to know what the government is talking about. An hungry man doesn't care about your policies. An hungry man gives no damn about your English grammar. Young people of Nigeria and Cross River, you've got to run for office. But we must not allow the ethno-religious sentiments to destroy our senses of logic and good behavior. We must not, like the ones before us, outsource our critical thinking to God, pastors, imams, and babalawos. God gave us brains. All we need is His guidance and His grace. Procter & Gamble, the company fondly called P&G, which produces always Vicks and other consumer goods in our terrible Nigerian anyhowness, has now been converted to Pack and Go. Just a year after it opened, it has now shut down its $300 million Nigerian plant and sent 120 workers into the streets. The factory is possibly the largest single investment by a non-oil company in Nigeria. Amongst other reasons, a source in the company cited high import duties on raw materials, new tariffs, and refusal to pay bribes to officers who would have facilitated less costly unofficial solutions to the challenges faced by the company. That company earlier sold off a factory that was producing Vicks Lemon Plus in Ibadan. God's Little Tannery in Kano State is run by Winston Udeaha and his father, Kofi. These men are real-time rock stars who have just never performed before a cheering live audience. In their tiny, dilapidated building with walls faded to a dull hue, they paid their supervisors 52,000 naira, approximately 168 pounds, monthly to see to the thorough cleaning of local goat skins with antifungal solutions in preparation for shipping to Italy. There, these raw materials will be used to produce by the world's leading and most luxurious designer brands. Names like Ralph Lauren, Louis Vuitton, YSL, Fendi, Jimmy Choo, Valentino, Gucci. All of the leather those companies used to produce in the world is produced in Kano, Nigeria. Listen, I'm going to come to Aba. Monaldo Morelli. And this story is on Daily Mail. If you like to read, you can go look for it. Monaldo Morelli, the middleman who brokers the deals between this Nigerian tannery and the buyers in Italy, has 200 employers and an annual turnover of 35 million pounds. He mentions that in an in-season, Ralph Lauren ladies' shirts would typically sell for 275 pounds. Don't forget that Winston, who cleans the leather in Kano, pays his staff 52,000 naira per month. Here we are, a country supremely comfortable with breeding cows whose potential we can never leverage, except for food and fighting wars of attrition over farmlands and grazing rights, while those who would rather apply common sense at every turn export our cows, process them into corned beef and luxury goods, and then import them back into our country for us as premium products, only affordable to the upper middle income class. This is why government is important, guys. This is why government is important, guys. When they tell you to pick your PVC, it's not enough. Government is important because the taxes that impede the growth of small businesses are placed by the government. Government is important because those roads that have become death traps where Nigerians die in multiple accidents can only be fixed by the government. Government is important because our rivers have now become poisonous because of oil spillage. The people in government that should make the policies to make those oil companies responsible have collected bribes so the rest of us can die. Singapore became a republic in 1965. Lee Kuan Yew became Prime Minister of Singapore in 1959, and he was there until 1990. Singapore has also paid long-term attention to entrepreneurship and innovation. And one is not surprised that today, that country of just 5 million people has 93.7% literacy rate, is one of the top 5 least corrupt countries in the world, has a mobile use penetration rate of 142%, unemployment rate of 2%, a relatively well-paid civil service, and a remarkably high-quality productivity of labor. Nigerians are if you go to your Twitter now, there's a tweet that is trending by some gentleman called Mosaic. He's just tweeted pictures of Nigerians sleeping outside buildings in Russia because Nigerians are finding every way to leave our country. Voting is currently ongoing in Ekiti, and people are being paid 4,000 naira for giving up their lives, their joy, and sustainable growth for the next 4 years. I maintain that the lack of economic empowerment of our young people in this country is a tool in the hand of the political elite to ensure that we, the people, remain poor in order for them to continue to oppress and trample upon us. Lastly, not too young to run. Well, we have a law, and I celebrate the not too young to run, but it's not enough. Not too young to run is a good thing, guys. But guess what? I see so many young people running for office. Our youth doesn't simply qualify us for leadership. We don't simply want to replace old irresponsible people with young irresponsible people. I want us to fundamentally ask questions around the competence, the character, and the capacity of Nigeria's next generation of politicians. Because I'm 34. Our generation is compromised already. We are the ones taking money from the same politicians we are angry with to help them trend hashtags on Twitter. We are the ones that are activists such that when we eventually get in the room with the same politicians we criticize, they give us a car and a scholarship. We forget the rest of the young people and get on the side of the politicians. And so it is not enough to be young. How educated are you? How are you going to frustrate tradition with creativity? How different are you from the old folks you are trying to replace? I want to talk a bit about women in politics. The brilliant young woman who is a decorator and was refused the job because you didn't quote up to the amount of money that was expected of you. Let me tell you 2 stories quickly. 3, maybe 4. Let me tell you the first one. If you've ever watched a movie called Hidden Figures, the 3 people that designed the mathematical equation that sent the first American to the moon after Russia sent Yuri Gagarin, 3 of them women. When I was at Harvard, a woman called Amina Gurib, president of Mauritius, came to speak to us, the Mason Fellows. And she said that when she applied to study sciences in university, the professor said that science is not for girls. And that rejection fueled her ambition. So tell you what, girls, every time people tell you to stop, just know that there's a reason why men is 3 words and women is 5. 3 letters I meant, not words. Amina Gurib did not just go ahead to study science. She went to university to study biodiversity science. She did not just excel. She became the first female dean of the biodiversity department of the University of Mauritius. She did not just become the dean, she became the vice chancellor of that University of Mauritius. She did not just become the VC of the university, she became president of that country, guys. Do you know what I'm talking about? The second story is of the women of Iceland. October 26, 1975. The women of Iceland wanted to pass the law for equal pay. And the parliament was not having it. So 90% of the Icelandic women refused to go to work, refused to sleep with their husbands, refused to get anything done at home. And the country shut down for 2 days. And the parliament passed the first law of equal pay in the world 2 days after that, the women's strike. And in 1980, Iceland elected the very first woman president in the world. My third story is the story of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in Liberia. Presidency didn't happen upon her. She was older than George Weah, who she ran against, who's now the president. The story of Bernice Freeman, who was in the market, trying to mobilize women to vote for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. And a few young boys across the other side of the market took a female white panties, smeared it with tomato paste, and started making mockery of a woman's menstruation, saying that women are not better than their menstruation or having babies. And that annoyed Liberian women. During elections, Liberian women made sure that all their sons and husbands got drunk. They bought them beer and stole and seized their voters' cards. For the first time in Liberia and Africa, a woman emerged president at 50.7% of the voting numbers. My fourth story is of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie and Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Let me tell you something. In 2014, Forbes had listed me as 20 of the most powerful young women on the continent in Africa. And every time, when the African Union turned 50 years in 2013, I was one of the young keynotes, the young speakers there. And every country that I've been to in my life, Nigerians are the brightest bulbs on the chandelier. I can tell you that. Nigerians are the sharpest. Our swag is unmissable. But you know what? Every time I walked around proudly with my shoulders up as a Nigerian while I took my master's at Harvard, there were 2 people anybody in the world knew about Nigeria. 2 of them, their popularity put together is more than that of all Nigeria's past presidents and governors put together. Those 2 women are Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And so, girls, you cannot reduce yourself to slay queens because men marry wives, but they date chicks. Because your vagina is not enough to keep you in the room. Because you've got to be more than just a pretty face. Because men know how to make their choices. If you are a sexy woman, they will keep you for the purpose of sex. But guess what? There's something even sexier to men. They call it sapiosexual. It's an intelligent woman. The boys beside you will tell you. The other day, a television station interviewed me and said, why must we give more women the opportunity to lead? After all, the few ministers we have appointed in this country that were women, they stole money. And I said to them, for every one woman who stole in this country, 200 men stole before her. Society cannot raise the moral standards for the women higher than those of the men. We are supposed to be equal. And a society that does not promote equality is a society that will go into extinction fast. Rwanda has the highest number of women in parliament in the world, 80%. In fact, research is beginning to show that countries that are investing more in girl child education are experiencing higher degrees of development. Saudi Arabia is putting more girls in school than boys. Because you know that when you empower a boy, and I love my husband, and I'm not a feminist, being pro-women is not being anti-men. Do not tweet this at my husband. I always give my husband good credit. You know, it's not only Senator Lee Elimoke that has, or Uncle Tony Cole, that have people that they love. I always describe my husband as a tall glass of hot chocolate. You know, Calabar girls, the thunder that will fire you if you go after my husband is doing press up. Let me close, guys. And sometimes young women do not know that the best career decision you'll ever make is who you marry. That the reason why I can speak and I'm not shaking and I'm not rushing back to Lagos is because I have a good man who gave me the chance to do this. I understood very early in my life that there are three kinds of men. The first one is the hunter, the one who finds a live animal and kills it. So you find a woman who's smart, focused, and intelligent, and you kill her dream. The second one is the scavenger. You find a woman who has no potential. You're a PhD holder, she has SSC, you marry her and make sure that she permanently remains down. The third one is my husband, Senator Lee Elimoke, Uncle Tony Cole, the gardeners, the ones who find fresh land that is fertile, they plant fresh flowers on it and let them blossom. I'm closing, guys. Final words. Young folks, build your capacity. You've got to read books, guys. When you are looking for jobs these days, your social media, employers are going there. If you have only nude pictures, you're not going to get hired. It's not your village people, it's your handwork. Read your books, guys. Read articles. Don't stay permanently on social media. Nobody gets hired for the number of followers you have on social media. People will always choose the people with quality and capacity more than the people that are simple flashes in the pan with very little substance. Pick up your PVC in 2019. Anything about us without us is not for us. And vote for the candidates based on common sense, not because of their religion, their looks, their lies, or their body language. My name is Toyosi, and I thank you for it.
One more time for Toyosi Akerele Ogunsiji.